Back to the Culture Call on Praise 93.3 with L. Spencer Smith. Our desire is to reach and empower the community by discussing a cross-section of relevant topics from various perspectives that are essential to its growth and interpersonal connections. Be sure to save our call-in number, 205-752-4800. Be sure to install the free Praise 93.3 app so you can send L. Spencer Smith a message or topic idea. Search for WTSK in your app store.
This is the world premiere.
Great morning, great morning, great morning. You know what time it is. That's right. It's time for the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith, right here on Praise 93.3 FM. Listen, it's going to be an amazing day. Yeah. This is the place where Tuscaloosa indeed meets the world. And you know what we do for the next 2 hours. That's right, 2 hours from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We're going to talk a little bit about everything. And I do mean everything from society to sports, education to economics, and definitely from religion to relationships. And as always, we are here to create a safe space. That's right, a safe space to have empowering, provocative, and sometimes controversial conversations. And guess what? You can call in and chat it up with me as we learn together. Where? Right here on the Culture Call. Listen, if you are a first-time listener, shout out to you. Yeah, you are in the place to be at 10 a.m. in the morning, Central Standard Time. It's 11 Eastern. Yeah, you need to be right here listening to the Culture Call. Listen, maybe you're at your job or you're not able to call in or just freely listen in an open space. Guess what? Here's what I want you to do, and all of you to do, is to go to your store on your phone, on your smart device. Why? Because I know you have one. And you can go ahead and search out Praise 93.3 FM, and there you will find a free 99 app. That's right. You will find that app absolutely. And what I want you to do is download it on your phone. Yeah, download it on your phone so you can hear me with your earbuds and your cubicle, and you can listen while you're driving. If you're in a spot there, yeah, you can definitely do that. You can hear me from all around the world. That's right. We've made it available to you all around the world. Definitely listen to us in Texas, definitely in Alabama, Mississippi, New York, California. That's right. You can hear me from wherever you are. And then check it out. I need you to do me a favor because they have been coming in quick and we got a lot today. Go ahead and email me your public service announcements and or your events to culturecall.praise@gmail.com. That's culturecall.praise@gmail.com, and give me an opportunity. I want to be your PR specialist. I want to tell Lottie Dottie and everybody to come to your event, to your church, your organization, your sorority, your fraternity, your musical, your concerts. It doesn't matter what it is. Absolutely. I want to make sure that we put some faces in the place. That's right. And you know how good it feels when you have a program or you have an event and you see it packed out. Absolutely. Makes you feel good. Listen, that's how we make sure that we do it better when we do it together. My role in your world is to make sure that everybody knows what you have going on in your neck of the woods. Absolutely. Listen, and also go ahead and write down this number, 205-752-4800. 205. That's right. 752-4800. And I know you are going to want to call in today. Wait a minute. You just believe it. I'm telling you. Go ahead. Or if you've downloaded the app, you can definitely hit me up on the chat section on the app, and I'll read your comments on the air. If I'm doing good, if I'm doing bad, if I'm stinking up the joint, let me know. I want to hear from you. You are a part of this broadcast just as much as I am. So absolutely, we want to hear from you. So do me a favor, go ahead, sit back and relax, grab, you know what we say every morning, grab you some coffee, whether it's Maxwell House or Starbucks. Y'all know what I like, caramel macchiato. You can definitely get you some herbal tea. Yeah, some herbal tea, some chamomile. Yeah, you can get you some chamomile tea to kind of chill you out and calm you down, or you can get you some green tea. It's a perfect substitute for coffee if you need a little caffeine kick. or definitely you can get you some alkaline water. Start your morning off, because I do that every morning. I get some water in me to detox and flush out my system and all of that. You can definitely do that. Get down to that cellular level and let's get healthy. And not only that, get hydrated and get into the culture. Listen, a lot is going on. Y'all know what I say every morning. A lot is going on. A lot going on. If I was at home. Yeah, a lot is going on. I'm a Geechee from South Carolina, so I can say it like that. There is a lot going on in the world. But this week, we want to focus on becoming community activated. And I always like to talk about that, because part of the purpose of this culture call, as you hear in our introduction, is to make us aware of what is happening in our community and in our city. My whole thing is that my community, as long as I can help it, will not be late, last, or lost. Absolutely not. That we will do everything that we need to do to bring you up to speed on what is happening in your surroundings. And this week will be no different. Yeah. Yesterday we had Dr. Mike Daria from the Tuscaloosa City School System. He's the superintendent, and encouraging us to be a part of the budget process that they have for this year and next year for the Tuscaloosa City Schools, right? And he invited us to be. Yesterday evening was at Central. On Thursday, it will be, on Wednesday, there it is. Wednesday, it will be at Northridge. And then on Thursday, it will be at Paul W. Bryant High School. But we need to come and invade that space and make sure that our voices are heard, because now they're giving us a place a seat at the table to voice our opinions and our concerns concerning how they spend the money. Right? They're trying to give teachers raises. They're trying to make sure that we have adequate technology in the school systems. All of that is very important. They're making sure that we have, right food services so that our children can be nourished, and not just with candy and junk food, but with healthy foods. Absolutely. So, but those things cost money. And, the economy is getting better, but yeah, also, today's prices are not yesterday's prices. And so, yeah, we need to find out what they're doing with the money, because you know how we are. What they're going to do with the money? Well, they're telling you exactly what they're going to do with the money. And if they don't tell you, you can go and ask that. So make sure that you are definitely a part of those community input forums sponsored by the Tuscaloosa City Schools. Once again, last night. Now, if you missed last night, you still have two other chances. Last night was at Central High School from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Tomorrow, it will be at Northridge High School, same time. And then on Thursday, it will be at Paul W. Bryant High School. And you do not want to miss that. Let's do that. So we dealt with the school system yesterday, and I'm going to deal with my wheelhouse today. That's right, the church. I'm going to deal with that and talking about what is the church's present assignment in the community. What does that look like? And I get these questions all the time in person on social media while I'm in class, while I am teaching, while I am developing leaders. I get questions about, again, one of my favorite hymns is The Charge to Keep. And there's the second stanza, to serve the present age, my calling to fulfill. And I sound a little bit redundant about that, because I am very passionate about what I believe and the perception of the church is in the community. That this age of church and this age of religion and all of that is totally different than when I was raised. Totally different, right? And so I cannot measure and gauge, how the church is doing based upon its effectiveness in when I was born and when I was coming up in church. I've got to look at the day that I am in now. And as it relates to how does the community see the church? How does the culture sees the church? What is their opinion? And I say that because sometimes, we preachers and religious folks, we can get a little arrogant and say, well, it doesn't matter what they think about the church. And that is antithetical to biblical teaching, because one of the things that Jesus said, as a matter of fact, even before he founded the church in Matthew chapter number 18, he asked the question to his disciples, who do men say that I am, the Son of Man am? That right? So I need to know what they're thinking. I need to know what their perception is. Right or wrong, I need to know what they're saying about me. And if it was important to Jesus to know that, then it should be important to us to figure out what the culture says. And of course, he brings clarity in the next few verses through Peter, when Peter says, thou art the Christ, Son of the living God. Absolutely. And he says, flesh and blood have not revealed that to you. Now, that's very important. Flesh and blood. In other words, nobody else could have told you that. You can only see that via revelation. And can I stop right there? Because I want to really, since we're on this Culture Call program, and I've got different ears listening to me, but I know I got church folk listening to me, let me say this, that we are going to always be disappointed by community and culture if we think that they can simply recognize who we are, what we do, and our motives and intention by flesh and blood. If you cannot, if it wasn't right then, if it couldn't be done then it yet cannot be done now. It is a revelation. The church is a revelation from Christ in the earth. Let me try it again. That the church is a revelation of God in the earth. In other words, either you can't just see it, and the church ain't the building on the corner. The church ain't the brick and mortar and the four walls. The church is a conglomeration of called out people, ecclesia, right? That has gained a revelation of salvation, has gained a revelation of who Jesus is, and what their position in that. And then God adds them to the church as they would be saved, right? But that is again a revelation. That's not a recognition. Say it again. That's not a recognition, but that is a revelation. And everybody does not have that revelation. So church folks often get mad and they get upset about the culture and the community, and they get upset about the disrespect and what we consider to be disrespect. No, folks just can't see. They just don't have the revelation, right? Come on. They just don't. Right? They do not. They probably know grandma's religion, your religion. They can see you, right? But they've not yet seen the Christ. They've not yet come into a revelation. They've not yet been added to the ecclesia. So it's just like, you're part of an organization, a sorority, a fraternity. Everybody on the outside going to have everything to say about it, opinions about it. Right? But if you ain't part of it, you don't know. You just don't know. And so, I don't go back and forth with people who don't know. For what? For what reason? If you got something going on in your house and people who are not a part of your house are trying to describe what's happening in your house, why would you go back and forth with them? Because they simply do not know, right? And so that's one of the things that I teach when I'm dealing with leaders and when I'm dealing with even members, even just plain Christians. You all get mad for no reason. You're getting mad with blind folks. You're acting like blind people can see, right? And the truth of the matter is that if they're going to see, they must see through us as we live this thing out every day. Our failures, our flaws, our proclivities, our personalities, all of that. They've got to get an understanding, because that's what they see, right? That this is why the text says, let your light so shine. Let your light shine. Yeah. Before who? Men. Yeah. So that they may what? See your good works and do what? Then glorify your Father in heaven, in that order, right? If they're only hearing us complain, if they're only hearing us tell them how bad they are and how quickly they are going to hell, then we are not shining a light. And I know you say that's crying loud and sparing not. You are off. That's wrong. Wrong context, wrong hermeneutic. That's what we were taught, but that's not correct when you read it in context with the rest of the text, right? Absolutely not. Right? That cry loud and spare not was not to the world. That cry loud and spare not was to the people, was to the church, was to the children of Israel. Right? That we need to cry loud, spare not to the church folks, not to the world. And it got quiet. Absolutely, as it normally does, right? So today, I want to talk about the church's assignment in the community and the culture. And I want to start off with our centering moment, just talking a little bit about the Good Samaritan narrative. You know, a few weeks ago, there was a big brouhaha with Bishop Shear and the Church of God in Christ partnering with the Mormons and, you know, to feed people and to do community service. And there was a big umbrage. And many people were asking me, what do you think about it? What do you think about it? And of course, I don't post all of my thoughts and all of my thinking and my ponderings on social media. Why? Because I know that's a lot of social media is about starting strife and backbiting, and it's not just, everybody there is not intellectual, they're not academic, and that's not a statement of arrogance or braggadocio, but that is just, why cast your pearls before swine? Let's not even do that. That's what the text says. Why waste your time trying to talk to people about folks who can't see? And most of the people I'm talking about are church people who can't see. That because just because you go to church don't mean you can see. Yeah, I mean, I know you think he called you out of darkness into the marvelous light. Good deal. I'm glad of that. But that does not mean that you see in cultural contextuality about what we are really called to do. So I don't engage in that on social media, but I started thinking about what the whole idea was and what was the big rift with regards to, what's going on with the church. And I started thinking about this whole Good Samaritan piece, how sometimes we can get off as the church and being so exclusive to others that we don't understand what it means to function in the whole story of the Good Samaritan. We don't understand how to function in a level of apathy, empathy, and compassion. We don't understand what it means to be in the world, but not of the world. We don't understand that a lot of times. And unfortunately, it leads us down the path of people looking at us as this society who only brandishes the Bible as a weapon. That we have no reason, we have no course to live it, but we want to use it as a weapon against a thing. So we are always in perpetual warfare. And I think that is very dangerous. That's a dangerous mindset for the church. That's a dangerous mindset for the community, because here's what we need to understand, that the text says that Jesus went about doing good. Now, I want to break some things down, and it's going to take me a minute to do it. So I want you to make sure you stay with me, because I don't want to lose you. But this whole idea is that of Good Samaritan, Jesus teaches this parabolic narrative. He begins to say some things. Here's what he says. He starts talking about the priest, and then he says, a Levite, this man came from Jericho, and he fell among thieves. He fell on hard times. He was robbed by people, right? He fell in a situation. It's not that he didn't have, not that he was broke, or that he was broke, not that he was not an upstanding man. He doesn't even describe the man's background, but we assume that he's a poor man. No, he could be any man. The man is just traveling on the road to Jericho, and he falls among thieves. His life takes him on the path of being among thieves, and they leave him not dead, but half dead. So that means this man is unable to do for himself, but he is aware. Let me try it again. That this man is unable, but he is aware. Want to say it one more time. This man is unable, but he is aware. Because there are a lot of people who are unable to help themselves, but they are aware of their surroundings. They see who walk past them. They are cognizant of those who help and those who do not, right? Because if you listen to this American capitalistic society, they will make you think that everybody's homeless, everybody's hungry, everybody who is indigent, everyone who is, unable to take care of themselves, that they are a deficiency on society, community, and culture, right? And if you're not careful, you begin to adopt that kind of mentality. Right? That kind of quote unquote conservatism, right? You begin to get that frame of work. Why don't that person just get up? Why don't that person just, why don't they trust God and stand up again and all that kinds of stuff? Yeah, we get into that mindset, and it's quick. We can get into it quickly. But Jesus teaches this narrative, and this man falls among thieves. And here it is. He wants you to see yourself as that man, right? You got to see yourself as that man. He's unable to handle himself. They beat him. They strip him. They take him for everything that he has, and they don't kill him. They leave him, the Bible says, half dead. Then he switches the narrative, and he says, and then a priest comes. A priest comes, sees the man. Watch this, y'all. The priest comes, sees the man, and walks on the other side of the road. I don't want to have anything to do with him. The priest did that. Y'all ready? Yeah. The priest did that. And then he goes on and says, and then a Levite, good going church folks, they see this man, and I don't want to have anything to do with him. He's not a part of this. He's not a part of that. He don't go to my church. He not saved. He not this. And so we just going to walk past him. Right? That's what the text says. And then here it is. Then he says, this Samaritan man. Now, this is interesting because the text opens up and says he's walking from Jerusalem to Jericho, which suggests that this man is of the same nationality of the priest and the Levite. Got it? That this man is of the same nationality of the priest and the Levite. That's their brother. They should have helped him, but they walked by him. They saw him in his state, and they said, no, absolutely not. I don't want you're not going to contaminate my religion. You're not going to contaminate me. Absolutely not. And they walked past their brother. And then this Samaritan comes. Who sees this man. He's not a part of that man's brotherhood. He's not part of that man's family. He's like a distant relative because Samaritans and the Israelites are connected in some way. Yeah, but he worships different. Samaritans worship different than those who are in Jerusalem. Jesus teaches that with the woman at the well, who is also a Samaritan. You got it? Good deal. All right, so then he does that. And he says he takes the man, he puts him on his beast. The Samaritan does. That distant cousin, far cousin, puts him on his beast. And he takes him to an inn, and he tells the innkeeper, take care of him. I'm on my way somewhere. He says, and whatever he needs, put it on my account. And when I return, I will repay you. Jesus is teaching an objective lesson, right? He's teaching he's really dealing with that hard, rigid religious Judaistic system that will walk past a brother who is like kind, right? And then he's also pointing the picture that there is someone that's really not closely connected to him, but sees this person and says, that could have been me. That person on the side. And here it is. Back up. Now here it is. Drum roll. Remember, he's only half dead. So the man is aware of who helped him. Try it again. So the man is aware of who helped him. And my brothers did not help me. The priest, neither the Levite, helped me. Did not help me at all. But this distant brother, this distant cousin of mine, we don't worship alike. He worships on the mountain around Mount Gerizim. I worship in Jerusalem. But this man stopped to help me get myself back together and paid the bill for my recovery. Right? And so this whole idea of church in this age, where are you going with this? See, everybody was like, well, this person, this denomination, they don't believe like how we believe. Right? Because remember, the whole backdrop of the last controversy of the couple of weeks was about feeding the hungry, feeding the poor, that they couldn't do it themselves. But guess what? They are aware of who helped them. They are aware of who's coming to their assistance. They were only half dead, not totally dead. Right? Because if they were totally dead, this is a moot conversation. Right? And so there was a big umbrage. They don't believe what I believe, and they don't believe how we did. We don't do that. They don't speak in tongues like we do. They don't shout and dance like we do. They don't believe doctrinally what we believe. But Jesus takes care of that in this parable. He takes care of that understanding in this narrative. And sometimes I wonder that are we missing an opportunity to engage community and culture as the church like we should? Because we read the Bible, but we don't let the Bible read us. Let me say that again. That we read the Bible, but we do not allow the Bible to read us. Because when the Bible begins to read you, it will change you. See, when we start reading the Bible, we start contorting and we start changing things that they don't say. We start adding stuff that they don't say. And we see through our perspective in our own subjectivity. We see how we feel, what our covenant said, what our doctrine book said, what our foreparents said, and what our religion said. Right? And we don't understand when the book begins to read us, because the text says that this book is a mirror and we begin to see ourselves as we are. We must make the adjustment, not the scripture, not the text, right? There's a whole lot of, we missed an opportunity. We miss opportunities to help. We miss opportunities to heal. We miss opportunity to give health to something, because we're thinking about, well, that person and those people and those, I don't want to get my hands dirty with that situation. Then what is the church for in the community? Right? See, again, I want you to deal with this community awareness piece. That there is a generation that is rising now that's called deconstructionist. And I want to land on this for our centering moment, because I want you to get this. That there is a generation who are no longer, believing what the text says. No, it's not like they're not coming to church. No, they're coming to church, but they're also looking at lives. They are examining the text. They're examining your life. They're examining our worship, our liturgy, and the way that we do things. And they're saying, wait a minute. They are, yes, Google theologians, they are social media seminarians. But then there are people who have gone to actual accredited schools of theology and seminaries. They are literally doctors in ministry that are coming back and say, wait a minute, hold it. This is not what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be God's hands in the earth. We're supposed to take in that mother, that teenage mother. We're supposed to make sure that we help the man who is fallen among thieves. And push pause and rewind. Sometimes we can forget exactly where we were when we were found. We forget that. Yeah, we forget that. When we look at the lives of others, we forget that. I have a tremendous sensitivity to people who, to young men and women who get pregnant out of wedlock, because I know about that life. I know how the church treated me. So it gives me a tremendous sensitivity to those kinds of people. Yeah. You know how it is when you're addicted to drugs, addicted to some kind of toxic, toxic thing that you take inside of you that you can't let it go, and it won't let you go. You know how that feels. You know how long that journey was, and you know how people didn't want to fool with you. Right? But now you're over here. Now you're in church, and guess what? You're forgotten. And I want to present to you that if we are definitely going to let our light shine as the church, then we have to understand what our assignment is. And it's a twofold assignment, right? And what we call it, it's missiology and ecclesiology. And I'm going to talk about that in the next half. Missiology and ecclesiology. We have two assignments in the earth. And I'm going to dig into that. And my question to us for this centering moment as we land, listen, here it is. Are we the priest? Are we the Levite? Or are we the Samaritan? Let me ask that again. I know you're a good Reverend Doctor. And I know you sit on the trustee board. And I know that you are part of the red circle. I know you speak in tongues and stretch out and run around the church and dance. All of that is fine. But this morning, on the culture call, we want to know, are you the priest? Are you the Levite? Or are you the Samaritan? Because you know why? The man who is left dead, he's unable, but he's aware to tell the difference. Listen, this is the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith, right here on Praise 93.3. It's going to be an amazing day. It's going to be a day of challenge. So if you're a church member, you need to call Lottie Dolly, tell them, tune in. This man is getting ready to ruffle our feathers, and you know this. Absolutely. Listen, go ahead and get hydrated, get your piece of bacon and some eggs, and keep it right here on the Culture Call. Don't miss it.
This is the world premiere.
And we are back right here on the Culture Call with L. Spencer Smith, Praise 93.3 FM. I'm telling you the truth. We're having an amazing day, and I am glad that you have joined me on this morning. There's no other place to be from 10 to 12 right here than the Culture Call. That's right. I'm glad that you're with me. Listen, I'm starting a fire. I know that I am. So let me go ahead and give you your ammo, 205-752-4800, or you can hit me up on our free 99 app. But this morning, we are talking about what's the church's assignment in the culture. And if you missed that centering moment, let me tell you the truth. It's powerful. Yeah, definitely. I want to bring to bear to understand and ask us the question as the church, are we the priest, are we the Levite, or are we the Samaritan? From the parable, the Good Samaritan. And we started off talking about simply that, on a couple of weeks ago, there was a big brouhaha in the religious community and in the community culture as well, with this whole thing. Should we partner with what should be the level of our partnerships as we serve the community, right? That, as I understand it, the partnership was not about doctrine. It was about helping and coming together to assist how we can feed the hungry and how we can clothe the naked and all of that. And yeah, so it was a big issue. A lot of folks were on one side saying, hey, we got to maintain our doctrine. We got to maintain our focus and our foundational tenets to, what the forefathers left to us. And then there was another segment that says, we missed an opportunity that a hungry man does not care about the covenant on your wall, your black little common book. They don't care. They just care about food. They care about feeding themselves. They care about, getting nourishment. And, this generation is like, if your doctrine book and if your, the nature of what you do in church inside of the four walls and what you believe deters you from helping who the Bible says we should be helping simply because of a partnership of sharing funds, or partnering to distribute food to those who are hungry in indigent areas, then we need to reevaluate, this religion and this doctrine that we say we believe. And so that was the big brouhaha. And I get it. I promise you, I get it. Being from a Pentecostal church, being from a sanctified church, which is my roots, there's a whole lot. There's a whole lot, in that acculturative mindset that says you shouldn't do that. And I get it. And so it really caused the community and the culture to say, then what is the church's purpose? Then, what are we giving money for? Right? What are we doing this and what are we doing that? Why are we supporting this, but we never give? We never, if what we believe, if we say that we believe in Jesus would have fed the folks. Y'all talking about not doing that. And that's a problem. And they should have a problem. What I think, though, however, having done this most of my life, it's simply this. I believe that there is a lack of understanding and awareness of the church's real assignment as it relates to the community and the culture. I think that's very important to understand. And so as I was getting ready to do this particular broadcast, I was like, okay, I know I'm going to step on some toes. I know folks going to be mad at me. I know folks might turn the radio off because I'm talking against, but I'm not really talking. Everything that I've talked about today is biblically documented, biblically explained, and I think we need a level of education when it comes to those who are part of the church, and definitely those who are preachers and teachers. Now, I heard somebody say, well, you can't go to school to preach. You can't go to school to teach. Yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, I know that it is a calling. But with that calling, what do you add? You're called, but you have no idea of what the subject matter is. I know you got a burning, but do you have any learning so that when you do stand up to talk or teach people, you literally, well, that comes by the Spirit. Well, no. See, the counter narrative of the Spirit, we teach this wrong because the Spirit is going to lead you into all truth. He's an educator. He's a corrector. He's an instructor. He comes alongside to help. He's the Paracletos. That in the Greek, that's what it is, right? So he's not going to just have you out here ignorantly saying stuff in Jesus' name, right? Because, I don't believe in no schooling. Okay, but then how are you learning? How are you learning? If you don't believe in any kind of education, if you don't believe in any, that you need to sit up under anybody and listen and learn and read. Paul, when he was called on the road to Damascus, he didn't immediately preach. He didn't immediately go to Jerusalem. He went to the backside of the deserts of Arabia so that he could learn, so that he could understand before he was presented to the apostles in Jerusalem. So, you read in Paul, and if Paul had to learn, how come you don't? Right? But that's another story for another day. But what I want to bring to bear is an understanding of the two assignments. The church has an assignment. Two. One is ecclesiology and the other is missiology. One means that we have an assignment to be called out. That is who we are in the world. Who we are. We are the called out of darkness into the marvelous light. We are called out of the death of sin, and into the light of, or the life of light, and righteousness. And that righteousness is not our own, by the way, that it was imputed. That word imputed means it was given to us. In other words, we were called right before we knew how to live right. Read your text. We were called right before we knew how to live right. You got me? Absolutely. So that whole idea of works and all that, no. It is all centered in that. So that ecclesiology is who we are as the called out people. In that meaning, when Paul's saying, come out from among them and be separate and touch not the unclean thing and I will receive you, what he is talking about is how we differ in terms of living our life righteously out from the world. Out from the way of the world, not apart from the world, because again, we are in the world, but we are not of the world, which means not of worldliness, not of carnality in that situation and all of that. That's what he's talking about. He's not talking about just close up in the church and only have churchy friends and only have, no, that's not what he's saying. He's saying that there must be an ecclesiology. There must be a line of demarcation in what you believe. You can't believe in everything, is what Paul is trying to teach the church at Corinth. And he's saying it from a cultural context because Corinth is a very pagan society. They're coming out of some heavy paganism. So he's telling them, listen, y'all, culturally, you can't be saved and continue to do what you do. Continue to do the old things you used to do. You can't continue to worship with Diana. You can't continue to have orgies in the temple. You can't continue to let these priestesses handle everything and just all out of order. You can't have the chaos and believe in your riches. And you can't be, you can't be a son-in-law sleeping with your mother-in-law. You can't do that. He's talking about a particular culture. He's saying, yes, you are called out of darkness. I can't act ignorant. You can't do that. You can't continue to treat people wrong. You can't continue to lie. You can't just continue to have illicit sex. You can't just continue to be out of order. You cannot. And that's what Paul was saying. There has to be a difference. The difference doesn't make us better, but the difference is better. Right? Right? The difference doesn't make us better than anybody else, but the difference that we have is better for our lives. It's better than the way that they are living. Not the way that they are humans, but the way that they are living. Our difference is better. And this is what Paul is saying. But that is the nature of ecclesiology, the nature, the structure, and the function of the church as the body, as the body and bride of Christ. That's what we do. We are different from the world, right? That's ecclesiology. It's how we come together. Yeah, it's how we assemble ourselves together. That's ecclesiology. Yeah, it is to do good to those. That's what Galatians says. Do good to those, especially those who are the household of faith, right? But the whole idea is to do good, right? So the ecclesiology is that thing that when you say, have you got good religion? Or, you got good. There's a difference. And now watch this. Even in ecclesiology, there are different sects and different beliefs because some people believe in some things. Some people are oneness. Some people are Trinitarian. And I don't want to wax, Bible study-ish on you. No, but I just need you to understand that there are denominations, there are Baptists, there are Methodists, there are Pentecostal. So even in our ecclesiology, there are differences. There are people who are a part of the same body that don't speak to each other because of whose name they were baptized in. Some were baptized in Jesus' name, which is an incorrect reading of the scripture in Acts 2:38, right? Right. And some were baptized in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Right. So, yeah, and they fighting because is God one or is God three? And it's a and I don't even know why we still having no arguments, but those arguments still contend. But that's the issue of ecclesiology. Ecclesiology. That is determining who we are in the earth. Let me say it again. It is the determining fact of who the church is in the earth and how we are different from the systems. Be not conformed to the world, but be transformed, changed by the renewing, born again of your mind. So this whole idea is a kind of mental, psychological effort. It's not just spiritual. It's also psychological. Your mind has to change. Why? Because what changes in the mind changes in time. You get it? That this thing that you had nothing to do with now has to work in your mind so that you can start having different behavior. That is ecclesiology. It is who we are in the earth. Then, however, there's a text in Matthew. Matthew, y'all ready? Matthew 28. Matthew 28, right? 19, somewhere around there, where he says, go into all the world. Right? And yeah. Go ye therefore teach all nations, baptizing them, right? And teaching them to observe all things that I've commanded you, right? Good deal. So that means then Jesus takes a page and says, yeah, but you got an assignment. You know who you are in the world, ecclesiology, but now I'm going to give you an assignment. Now you got to go into the world, which means missiology. Where you see the word mission there. It's the study of the mission or the missions of the church in the world. So what ecclesiology says who we are in the world. Missiology says who we are to the world. Try it again. Ecclesiology says who we are in the world. Missiology says who we are to the world. Right? Right. So you have to first establish who you are in the world before you can really understand who you are to the world. We must be something to the world. What is the church's mission? What is the church's mission? It's not only to preach the gospel, to give the good news of a lot of times, which we don't even do because we're so busy fussing at folks, sending them to hell and Hades. Yeah. That's what we do. Right. But that's not the good news is also the transformed life that we live. What makes us different? Now that we can give, we can share, we can make sure that we help the community, help the world, demonstrate to them all the things that he has taught us, how to love our neighbor as we love ourselves, how to feed the poor, how to take care of the widows, take care of the orphans, how we give to the poor. That's the missiology. That's the mission of the church. Remember, Jesus went about doing good. It's a part of what we're supposed to do. We should not be some mean, angry people that meet on Wednesdays and Sundays. Wednesdays for Bible study, Sundays for worship. And we sing our songs and we listen to the preacher, take him to the cross, every Sunday. Okay. We do a lot of preaching in church, but preaching is not even for the believer. Teaching is for the believer. Preaching is for the gospel to be preached to the unbeliever. But that's another subject, right? But our assignment is to go and to teach them. How do we teach them? By living before them the change. Living before them as Christ would live in the culture, in the community. So that means if it doesn't, would Christ walk past that man who was left for dead? No. Y'all ready? Would Christ walk past a person who's a part of the LGBTQ community and not give them some water? Absolutely not. Did Christ walk past that adulterous woman? No. As a matter of fact, the text says that he clothed her. He clothed her nakedness. Was she in sin? Absolutely. Did she believe like he believed? Absolutely not. She had all her stuff out. she was in the middle of the street. Well, all her wang dang doodles out. Absolutely. And the man, Jesus, covered him, gave her what was on him and protected her dignity. And then his words were not to her. His words of rebuke and correction were to the church at that time, the Pharisees and the Sadducees who were trying to test him. And he said, those of you who are without sin, let that man cast the first stone. Yeah, it's right there if you read it. Let them cast the first stone. Then he goes back and all of them, one by one, the text says, start dropping their rock. That part. Because we could go down a rabbit hole in that story. There's a whole lot going on in that story. But that's the facts. And then he looked back to her. He says, woman, here it is, church. Here it is. Where art thou accusers? See, here it is. We have specialized in accusing and judging. Yes. And I'm not saying that we don't divorce ourselves from judgment. That means I'm not going to shut off my mind as I look at the world. I understand that there is sin and debauchery. I understand that there are decadence going on in the world. But guess what? Some of that stuff is going on in the church as well. Right? That part. And he says, where are your accusers? She says, I have none. He says, neither do I. Now you go and sin no more. You have absolutely no clue what a difference you passing some groceries to somebody. And I don't care if it's partnering with the Nation of Islam. I don't care if it's partnering with Mormons. We're not having a church service. We know who we are in the world. But now it's time to show who we are to the world. And so we cannot, as long as they're not telling us that we've got to change who we are in the world, then we can partner. Yeah, we can partner with them to serve the world. That's our calling. You may not agree. I'm not asking for you to agree. I'm just asking for you to listen. That's right. That's what we are. The difference between our ecclesiology and our missiology. Listen, I got more to say on that, and I'll do it. But go ahead and get your little snack, because I'm sure you need a little snack. Don't forget the number 205-752-4800, or you can hit me up on the app, and we can talk about the church's assignment in the community and in the culture. Keep it right here. There's some more good stuff to come. Don't miss it.
This is the world premiere.
And And we are back right here on the Culture Call with L. Spencer Smith, Praise 93.3. It's a new hour. That's right. Definitely the top of the hour, 11 a.m. and some change. We've been having a blast here on this morning. Yeah. And I know that I may have ruffled a little bit of feathers, but I need you to stay here. There's more to come. Yeah. You know I'm not going to leave you hanging like that. I'm not going to leave you mad with me. You got to love L. Come on. You got to love the bishop. Absolutely. Yeah. And so definitely we're having an amazing conversation about the church's position and posture as it relates to the community and how we are to be community activated as well as the church. Yeah. We may not see it like that, but the reality is that every church on your corner is a part of the community, right? We have some level of resolve and some level of influence in the areas where we are. The church that does not have influence in their corner, in their community, is a church that needs to reevaluate again its mission. And yeah, it's cool. And here it is that we may have to update our missions. We may have to update, the way that we do things in order to connect and to be able to aid the current culture and the current community that we're facing. Yeah. As we have, we're not just a place where funerals are held and weddings are held, but we are a place that is supposed to strategize toward the future to make a better community for our children. And I believe that you cannot do that without having the church to have a major seat at the table. Listen, before we get back into that, I've got some community announcements that we need to knock out. And so grab you a pencil, grab you some paper. It's already on the Culture Call Facebook page. Go ahead and join that page. Go ahead and follow us on Facebook, the Culture Call. We're going to do an Instagram page and all those other kinds of things in the near future. But I need you to go ahead and be a part of that Facebook page, or you can text Culture 23 to 33777. Let me say that again. You can text Culture 23, one word, Culture 23 to 33777, so you won't miss any of the updates that we're going to be coming out and rolling out. And when people give us announcements, we'll link you to the Facebook page so that make sure that you're a part of that. We don't want anybody to miss out on all of this amazing information that's happening right here on the Culture Call. Listen, this weekend, let me start here. This weekend, this Saturday, it's Walking with the Warriors, right? Sponsored by the Sickle Cell Association of West Alabama. That's right. Walking with the Warriors will be held at the North Ridge High School from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. this Saturday. That's right. Put your Nikes on, put your Asics on, put your whatever your kicks are, your Pumas, doesn't matter. Put your sneakers on and let's walk and raise money and funding for sickle cell anemia research. Yeah, let's partner with that association to make sure that they have the funding. I've been harping on this. Listen, I have myself two winning warriors. Two of my children are winning over sickle cell anemia, and I have been a parent to those who I've seen crisis. I've had to go to doctors. We've had to spend the night in hospitals, and it is a seriously debilitating disease. By the grace of God, my children are conquerors, but there are so many more that are suffering from this disease that they had nothing to do with. They have absolutely nothing to do with. You can't contract it. It's not like you can sit by someone and you can touch them and you automatically gain. No, that's not how this disease works. They were born with it, and it is a blood deficiency disease. And so we definitely need to do all that we can to research and to understand this disease so that there can be a cure. And this Saturday, I need each and every one of you to meet at the Northridge High School from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and walk. That's right. You'll get directions there. Then later this week, we're going to have the director of the West Alabama Sickle Cell Association to come on to talk about that walk. It's going to be wonderful, but we need your help. We need your help and assistance to raise awareness of sickle cell in the African American community and other communities. Absolutely. And we need your funding. Yeah, we need your funding because I believe that we're on the cusp. There are some therapies there, but they are excruciatingly expensive. Notice the word that I use, excruciatingly expensive. And yeah, so we want to make sure that we bring those prices down so that all of our children, everyone who is suffering from this disease can find help and can find, the ability or can attain the ability to be rid of that debilitating disease. So yes, make sure, again, this Saturday at the Northridge High School from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. we'll be walking with the Warriors, sponsored by the Sickle Cell Association here in West Alabama. You got it? Good. Listen. We've got something from all of you entrepreneurs. If you are a minority, a woman, and veteran business owners, in the area of building and constructing, right? The Entrepreneurial Training Institute, right, is sponsoring a free 10-week program. Wow. A free 10-week program entitled Unlock the Key to Your Company's Potential. That's what it's entitled, Unlocking the Key to Your Company's Potential, right? And you will be trained by the industry-leading professionals. It's a virtual, that's right. So you can be at your home, and you can, a virtual 10-week intensive business development plan training program that's going to focus on business plan development, financial literacy, assessing profit potential, and target market analysis, and so much more. We need you to be a part of that. I'm going to tell you how in just a minute, right? The requirements, you must be a minority, so that means you fit. You must be a woman, or you a veteran-owned business. You must possess one of those. You must be incorporated. You must be incorporated, and you must pass an interview. Right? So there are requirements for you to be in this 10-week program because it's really serious, right? This is sponsored by Truist Bank and Vanderland and Procore. They're trying to position our community to make sure that all of the entrepreneurs can definitely access the training. Like you want to start a business, but you don't know what to do. Here it is. And it's sponsored by the Entrepreneurial Training Institute. The Entrepreneurial Training Institute. And here it is. You can contact them at www.usminoritycontractors.org. www.usminoritycontractors.org. It's already on the social media page. It's already on that. If you go ahead and look at our page, join our page, the information is there. Just in case if you're not writing down, I'm going to say it again. It is www.usminoritycontractors. One word. usminoritycontractors.org. That's right. Go ahead and sign up. Right. And they'll have a virtual graduation sometime in December 5th. I see. That's right. December 5th will be the virtual graduation. And let me tell you, you will be surprised how much these certifications go when trying to acquire funding, building lasting relationships so that you can begin to navigate the world of entrepreneurship. So again, make sure that you are part of this entrepreneurial 10-week free program. That's what I need you to do. Do that. And so that we can make sure that you get that money, that you get that positioning that you need. Absolutely. Listen, also, if there are any high school students interested in attending the University of Alabama, if there are any high school students, right? All of our students, Stillman, that we hail Stillman and Roll Tide. That's what we support. And of course, Go Bucks at Shelton State. But if you know a student that wants to go to University of Alabama, we have an interesting scholarship opportunity from the Alumni Scholarship Assistance Program, right? And so they're going to help you understand how to apply to UA, what scholarships are available in your area, and how to make your scholarship application stand out. Wow. How to make your college application stand out. Because you do know that you won't be the only one. Your child won't be the only one trying to get in. Yeah, they're. And so you'll be surprised to understand when you really read how many students don't get into the university of their choice because their application just simply does not stand out. But they're having a seminar this Thursday, not this Thursday, but Thursday, September 28th at 6 p.m. at the Birmingham Museum of Art. It's on 2000 Reverend Abraham Woods Jr. Boulevard, Birmingham, Alabama. You can register right here, and this is a long one. So, again, we've already posted this on our Facebook page so that you can get that information. It is adm.ua.edu/register /HSAP, hyphen Jefferson. Don't even worry about it. Don't even much worry about it. If you go ahead and text Culture 23 to 33777, or you go ahead and be a part of the Culture Call Facebook page, the information is right there. But if you know a student that wants to attend the University of Alabama, then absolutely this would be something that you need to be a part of, right? Good deal. Listen, and finally, my friend and my brother, he's going to be on Friday, our Friday show, talking about a night of fashion from Paris. That's right. High Expectation and Rodney High. They're going to be in the studio with us on Friday talking about this upcoming show, September 30th, that is going to be an amazing show. You do not want to miss that. Rodney does things on another level, but he wants you to go ahead and go to Eventbrite and get your tickets. Matter of fact, Friday, we're going to have a big giveaway and giving away tickets, right? And to those of you who would call in and get your tickets. September 30th, the regular ticket is $35. The VIP is $50. And I'm going to tell you right now, Rodney does it up when he does a thing. Right? If you've ever been at one of the fashion events that he's hosted in the Bryant Conference Center, that's where it's going to be held. You know it's going to be a night of tremendous entertainment. I'm excited. I'll be there singing my new single. It's going to be great. You know, I've got a new single coming out, so I'll be there sharing that. And so many other folks will be there. You want to be in the place. That's it. September 30th. It's going to be a night of fashion out in Paris. That's right. A nice fashion show sponsored by High Expectations and supermodel Rodney High. Go ahead to Eventbrite, search it out, and get your ticket. Don't be last, late, or lost. And don't be standing on the outside, well, I should have got mine. That's right. You should have got it, right? And we're telling you at enough time so that you can go ahead and make sure you get your ticket in your pocket. But go ahead to Eventbrite and search that out and make sure that you secure your ticket. Want to remind you that if you want me to be the one that says your announcement or your events, go ahead and you can email me at culturecall.praise@gmail.com. That's culturecall.praise@gmail.com. And let me know what's happening in your area, what's going on in your organization, or if it's an event that you're sponsoring. Yeah. I want to make sure that I put my voice to it and let everybody know about the amazing things that's going on in your neck of the woods. Good? Gotcha. Listen, I want to get back to our subject matter because I think it is very important. I've got a little, folks like, okay, now, wait a minute. What are you trying to say? One person asked me, hey, how would you have handled this situation? Well, now, that's another story. Those are two different questions. First, let me deal with the first one. Should the church be a part of partnering with people who have different doctrinal experiences? I said, okay, here's the deal. One of the things that Jesus commands us to do was to occupy till he comes. That phrase occupy, or that word occupy, means literally in the Greek, do business. In other words, when we're entering into a business understanding, this has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with, we can maintain our ethics, our ethical points of views, and we can have those talks if there is a conflict in ethics. But the objective is to do business. That what he has given us, we have an assignment to make sure that we bring a return back upon his return. Right? And I think that is very important. I think we apply certain ethical and moral situations, religious situations, in a context that are external while we don't really understand, while we are conflicted internally, right? In other words, it is not inherently disconnected or apart from what we believe if we partnered with the Islam community, right? If we're feeding children after school, of children who can't eat, then there is no issue, because we're not talking about Jesus, or we're not talking about Muhammad. We're not talking about anything that has to deal with a structural sense. See, when the one of the problems with the church is that we have to be unlimited in our thinking with regards to how we help people, right? That if they're bringing the funding, but we have the people. See, let me say this. A lot of organizations want to partner with the church, especially the church in urban areas, in our community, in black areas. Because number one, a lot of those people who have money really don't want to be in our community to assist. That's facts. Now, however you look at that, they're in their mentality. It's not so much that they are racist or they are bigots. It just means that they understand that their people, that our people normally receive better from people who look like them, right? So, in other words, they're going to say black people will be willing to take this food and take these things without having to overcome the barriers in their minds concerning race. Right. So a lot of times churches and different organizations partner and they give money to black churches because they know that we are the ethical and the moral heartbeat of the community, and that with the caveat that we distribute it not just to our members, but to our community. Because every person in our community is not a part of our churches. Right? See, everybody on the east side of Tuscaloosa is not a member. I wish they were, but they're not a member of the Impact Nation. Right? And so they understand that, yeah, but if we can get this funding, because all I think is we just want to help people. We just want to make sure that the children have book bags or book backpacks. Right? And all of that. So the partnership is formed. Right? And that does nothing. Let me say that again. Nothinng. That doesn't mean next week I'm going to get up and start teaching something that I don't believe in. That's not even what that's about. That is understanding what the focus is and the objective is. And the objective is to make sure every child has a book bag, to make sure every child has water, to make sure every child has a meal, right? And we partner and we serve our community. We partner and we serve our community, right? So because every person that we partner with, and sometimes that's why black churches in particular do not partner with a lot of people, because they're trying to partner based upon belief. And the issue is not about belief in terms of moral or religious belief. It's about, do we believe that our community should eat? Do we believe that our communities and our children should be provided with certain things? Do we believe that we should provide shelter for the homeless? Do we believe? See, and that's the issue. That from a social and a community and a cultural context, a lot of times we don't know what we believe because we've not formulated our missiological understanding. We've not even thought about that, right? And so, that we're sitting in conflict, and you're protecting your doctrine. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but this doesn't conflict with your doctrine. Now, so yes. Can we partner? Should we partner? Absolutely. Absolutely. We just dealt with a partnership dealing with an after-school program, and we're getting ready to help after-school children after school, providing from the church, helping the schools of our neighborhood. We're getting ready to do that. I'm not going to find out, does the Tuscaloosa city school system believe what the Impact Nation believes to formulate this partnership? That's not what I'm supposed to do. That's not the church's assignment. It's not for me to figure out what Superintendent Daria or the principal's ideology is in terms of who they believe. That's not my assignment. It's not the church's assignment. My assignment is that I see an opportunity to effect change and transformation and provide assistance in my community. It is not to go on a fact-finding mission about their doctrinal beliefs. That is closed-mindedness. That's not what that's about. Right? Because while we're doing that, a child is hungry. While we're doing that, a child who we could potentially helping is latchkey because their parents have to work after and when they get off. So, yeah, while we're doing all that fussing back and forth, then there's somebody who's homeless. There's somebody who does not have. And in the eyes of Christ, what's most important is what we need to ask ourselves as we begin to relate to the community and to the culture. You get me? You feel me? I know you do. So, yes, partner with them. Now, it's a different situation when you're talking about, okay, well, now they're doing something, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and no, I mean, that conflicts externally with our beliefs. Now, that becomes an issue, and then we have to say, yes, we would love to help, but here are some caveats. Here's what we cannot do. And if we can't come into agreement that does not cast aspersion on how it looks in the community to the church, then we may not be able to sit at every table. I'm not saying that we can be a part of everything. I'm just saying that being a part should not be precluded simply because we are the church. You got it? Absolutely. All right. Now, how would I have handled that? That was the next question. How would you handle that, Bishop? Glad that you asked. Now, from a leadership perspective, I think this is the purpose that, number one, each church needs to have a community development program or EDC or CDC. They need to have a separate nonprofit from the church that they begin to do cultural services with and community services with. And that's what we do. That's what I have, right? So that we can begin to separate, that whole idea and that whole entity. Second of all, I think every church, when you're beginning to deal with the culture in the community, needs to hire a PR firm or have some statement, somebody who can prepare statements for you as you make your announcements of it rolling out. You feel me? That you shouldn't, maybe sometimes Reverend Doctor is not the person who needs to speak on the camera. Maybe sometimes you need to have people around you who specialize in that area as you roll out particular things. Number three, one of the first things that I would also do in terms of mechanics is bring all leaders to the table and have all pertinent leaders to the table. And I say pertinent there, so that we can get an understanding of what the task at hand is. That one person should not make especially if it's going to be controversial. Now, me going to my community schools is not an issue. But if I'm going to make a partnership with any outside organization, especially from a different religious or doctrinal context, then I'm going to bring all of those who are pertinent. I'm going to bring my elders. I'm going to bring my board, members of my board. I'm going to bring all of them together, and then we're going to meet with the people who we are partnering with and get a clear understanding. Number three. Number four, then I will make an announcement to our church and to our churches and say, hey, we created this partnership with XYZ ABC. I've invited the brothers or the sisters here so that you can see and understand what the parameters of our connection is. I'm a master at doing a PowerPoint or a keynote, and I'm going to put it on the screen, and I'm going to spell out what our responsibilities and obligations are and our lines of demarcation. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to field questions, right? So that when our PR people make an announcement, so that when they coordinate with the media and all of that, then my church and their church, everybody understands, so that when somebody has something else to say, then we got people can say, oh, no, you don't know what you're talking about because you weren't at the table. No, you don't know what you're talking. See, again, I think it's how sometimes in the way that we do it, right? In an issue like that, especially when you're a part of a big organization with a plethora of leaders and all that, you got to have all of them at the table. Yeah. You got to have your Peters and your Judases at the table, so all of them will hear the exact same information, because light disinfects. Let me say that again. Light disinfects. That's right. Light disinfects. And so when you have all these people sitting at the table, they can't come back and say, oh, man, no, and you can't get it in your church and talk about, I don't agree. No, because you were sitting in the meeting and you voted just like everybody else. And if you agreed in the meeting, then don't get up and tell your church that you didn't agree, because here's what I'm going to do. Then I'm going to come and make a statement, and I'm going to read the minutes, and I'm going to put where you agreed. I'm going to debarrass you, not just embarrass. Let's go a little deeper. I'm going to debarrass you. I'm going to make sure, because now you're trying to work as a disingenuous partner in what we're trying to do. And then what else we're going to do? We're going to get volunteers. We're going to get people excited about signing up. And then we're going to have a big campaign and a big release date, and we're going to all serve the community. See, that's how I would formulate it. That's how I would roll it out. Because you know how folks are. They're going to talk culture call. Am I right? I know I am. They're going to have a lot to say, and everybody going to put their opinion on it. Well, if it was me, well, it ain't you. It ain't you. Yeah. And if you trust me as your leader, let me say this one more again. If you trust me as your leader, then you would begin to understand that I would not have done anything without any kind of consultation. Here's what I believe, that there are places where the senior leader or the pastor needs to make sure and directs the mission of the church, of their local church or whatever in the community, without any interference. I believe that. But for me, my whole thing takes from Proverbs. In the multitude of counsel, therein lies safety. There's safety there. So I'm going to bring all of those who are essential and all those who are critical in parts of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to bring everybody to the table, because they are my rear guard. And I'm not going to have anybody spoil a potential opportunity for us to serve the community and get respect from the culture because I didn't ask anybody. No. Because I need to bring everybody along so that they can cover my blind spots. Or better yet, I can see where my problem is among me and begin to address those issues before we even go out into the community. And I'm talking about in terms of making partnerships. There is no one church that can do it all by themselves. We don't have enough money. We don't have enough people power. We don't have enough. A lot of my friends pastor mega churches all across the country, and when I talk to them about how they get things done, the partnerships that they have. Now, they might say their name, but their name is in partnership with big banks and corporations and all of that, and that's important, because the more partnerships, the more funding, the more people we can serve. I'm not asking the president of Renaissance. I'm not asking the president of Regents to come to my church and deliver a sermon. I'm not doing that. No. Just as much as I won't let somebody who's just during election season, let a politician come to my church and say, turn your Bibles to. Absolutely not. That's not what I'm going to do. That's not what I'm going to do. No, absolutely not. So definitely that's how I would lay it out. Because guess what? Helping the community is the most important thing. Let me say it again. Helping our community is the most important thing. It's a part of the mission of the church. It's what our assignment is to the church, to the world, is what our assignment is to the world, right? And now because people know who the church is in the world, but now we need to start and finish that sentence and teach them how we are or who we are to the world. And we are here to serve and to be a blessing to others. Yeah? You feel me, Culture Call? I know you do. Listen, this is indeed the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith, right here on Praise 93.3 FM. Go ahead, get hydrated again, get you some more water, some tea, some coffee, whatever you need. Get your Pepsi, Coke, or something right here, and keep it right here. There's so much more to come. Don't miss it.
This is the world premiere.
And And we are back. That's right. Here on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith, right here on Praise 93.3 FM. And has it not been an amazing day? Man, I'm telling you, I love talking about this subject because, again, it's my wheelhouse. It is. That's right. I'm not a doctor in terms of medicine. I do a little study over there and, legal, all that kind of stuff. No, but the church, it's my wheelhouse. And I love to talk about the church in the culture. I love to make sure that those of you who are listening, and I know most of you are part of the church, that we understand with clarity what our assignment is in the world. And we ought not be ashamed of that. I'm definitely not. And so definitely, every time I can bring some level of light and understanding to what I think is a complex relationship, a complex and multifaceted relationship that the church has with the community and the culture. And I think that we try to simplify it. And when we try to simplify it, we do ourselves a great disservice because we don't begin to examine what I would consider to be the necessary nuances and what we are called to do and who we are called to be. And that whole idea of being versus doing sometimes is conflicted when we understand as an individual and the corporate church, right? And so there are two different perspectives, which is why I started off today telling you the difference between ecclesiology, who we are in the world or in the community, and missiology, who we are to the community, who we are to the world, because we have a multifaceted assignment, right? Just like Christ, that he knew who he was in the world. That John, the whole text tells us who he was in the world. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John tells us who he was in the world. Paul explains who he is in who he was in the world, but even who he is in an eternal existence, right? But we also can read who he was to the world, right? We knew what he was in the world, but we also know who he was to the world. That he went about doing good. He went about, turning water into wine so that weddings won't fail. He went covering the sinner. He went talking to the Samaritan woman at the well. Yeah. He went making sure that he stopped funerals and went to see about those who were sick and indigent. Yeah. He was a loving person, a meek person, an humble person. He had relationships with people. Yeah. He developed relationships with people, earthly relationships with Mary, Martha, Lazarus, his disciples, and others, right? He was not just some cosmic eternal being that could not be touched. As a matter of fact, the text says that we have not a high priest who cannot be touched with the feelings of our infirmities, but he could feel just like we felt. He could go through the same way that we went through. That's what it secures him to be Savior, right? And so we're not to be some disconnected Pharisaical, Sadduceical entity, or we can't touch that, touch not, taste not. No, read the text in context. Read it who he's talking to, right? We are to do good to everyone, even to those, especially to those who are the household of faith. Any religion that makes you mean and bitter and unforgiving, any religion, any faith, any belief that makes you so righteous that you cannot embrace someone who is fallen on the ground is not a religion at all. At all. You are yet walking in darkness. James says something very interesting. He says, listen, let me tell you about this faith thing y'all talk about, right? He says, you talk about faith and works. I'm going to show you my faith by my works. He says, if somebody comes to you unclothed, naked, do you look at him and say, oh, in the name of Jesus, go and be warm? Or do you get him the things necessary to keep him warm? When I get out the book, let me know here, right? Or do you give him a coat? Do you give him a sweater, a hoodie? What do you provide? That's faith in action. Or if you have someone that's hungry, They haven't eaten in a while. Does your kind of religion, does your kind of Christianity, does your kind of believing say, oh, in Jesus' name, let's run around the church 7 times, but be filled? But you don't give him the things that's going to fill his belly. You don't give him a meal. You don't take him to McDonald's. You don't give him anything. You just let him go away hungry in Jesus' name? Really? And so James says, listen, you talking about faith and works, but we can't see your faith because they're not appropriate works. And a lot of times that work is how we treat those in the community, how we treat others in the world. I can remember in my little Pentecostal church, we had some folks, that were super deep and religious, right? But when the cooks, those folks that didn't have titles, those folks that were making hot dogs and frying chicken, somebody came to the church and hungry. They didn't have any money. They would sit them in the back of the church, make them a hot dog or give them a chicken sandwich and a check soda and said, eat. Don't even worry about it. We'll pay for it on the back end. You see? And that's how that's supposed to go. And that person started coming to church, and that person then makes a spiritual change and a psychological change. But we can never do that when we have it. I mean, because you could, in the old kind of church, you could smell the food. You would be in the church and you'd be like, oh my God, you could smell the butter in the cakes. You could smell that good old fried chicken. You could smell the hot dog. You could smell all of that. Well, people in the community could smell it too, and they would come by. And the workers would just simply, hey, eat. Don't tell sister so-and-so. Don't tell mother so-and-so about that, because they would have a fit. They can't get on out of here. You drunk. Get on out of here. And because they came because they were in need. They came because they were in need. And so the balance of our faith the revelation of our faith is seen by our actions and how we treat the community, those who may not be like us. You never know that our heart and our witness can be, our service can be witnessing tools to someone. That we will, St. Augustine, St. Francis rather. St. Francis says of Assisi, he says, preach the gospel. Preach it. That's right. Preach the gospel and sometimes use words. That's a powerful, sometimes use words, because people hear what we say, but then they see what we do. And it's contradictory. Because if we say we serve a loving, kind Savior and we want people to come, but our actions shoo them away. Our actions like, nah, be good. No, I don't know. You're going to dirty up our pews. So what? Get you some Resolve and clean them up. Spray some Febreze. I get it. I understand. But do you understand that some of those people that we will help, some of those people that we are feeding, some of those people that we are clothing have never in a long time had anybody to love on them and show them dignity to their humanity? That they've never had anyone to touch them with compassion? There are many people who have come and they're afraid. They come to church and they're afraid to come to the altar, or they're afraid to talk. And what I do is I go after them. I get people that they spray me down with Lysol. I get that, but I'm going to hug you first. I'm going to shake your hand first. I'm going to embrace you first. Is there anything you need? I can go home and take a shower. Yeah, I know even in these COVID streets, I get it. I understand. Reverend, you got to protect yourself. I know. I get all of that. But here is the reality. That our job as representatives of the church to the world, I must show compassion. And I must show love. Yeah. One time we had someone break into our church. And he started attacking folks, and they called me and said, Bishop, hey, you need to come up here. And I went up there with the mission to see if we could help. Now, unfortunately, this individual had issues, mental issues and psychological issues, so we couldn't really help them on the scene. We couldn't help them but I was like, okay, wait a minute. Hold it. I mean, and they were vulgar, and I get it. I understood the police had to come out to take them away. But my main thing was, I told that member, I said, hey, don't hurt them. Don't you do anything wrong. Let's see if they need help. Because a lot of times people need help. And when they come to us, we don't have the time or the leisure, to say they're not worthy to be served because they don't smell right. They're not worthy to be given to because they don't look right. Or that person is a homosexual, so we shouldn't embrace them. How you know? How do you know? Were you with them? How do you know they're not? How do you know what they are? Right? And even if you know what they are, it's a communicable thing now? Is that what's happening? But I believe in transfer of spirits. Well, why can't your spirit transfer to them? Why the evil spirit got to always overcome the righteous spirit? I can't hug them because what they got might get on me. Then what you have ain't strong enough. So the issue ain't them. The issue is you. You don't have it like the Bible say. All those folks that Jesus helped, all of them, and ain't nothing never got on him. So why are you scared it's going to get on you? See, that's the question. And I'm the one that asked the question right here on the Culture Call today. Yeah, it is a complex relationships. And I understand that we have to make sure that we don't, watch this word, compromise. But compromise what? Compromise what we believe? I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in my faith is intact. Now, if I really get into some of the stuff I would believe, I would blow this radio station up, right? The airways would be like, whoa, for real? Yeah. Because a whole lot of things that we believe have been just adopted. You see? A lot of our theology has been inherited but never investigated. And that inheritance of old wives' tales and fables and sacred cows keep us in the prison of not being effective as the church in our communities. Absolutely. Right? I'm one of those people. And here's me. I get in trouble for it sometimes because sometimes folks say, well, Reverend, you ought to show when you start helping people and doing stuff in the community. I have always been of the persuasion since I started when I was 18 years old is that you don't film or you don't publicize and make yourself better and get people to come filming someone who is having a bad time, who is struggling. I'm not going to take a man's struggle and put it on social media to say, hey, we helped this person come to the Impact Nation. That's what I'm not going to do. And so, folks do it. They do that. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't do that. If I help you and you're down, I would rather show you, when your difference is made, when the change is made. I'd rather not show you in your struggle. I'd rather show you in your recovery. Then we can have a conversation and then you can tell your own testimony. Peter and John did not show that man who was lame at the gate called beautiful. But that man, once he got up leaping. He got up rejoicing. He got up running into the temple, telling them what happened to him. Sometimes social media and things of that nature can knock us off the virtue of what we are really called to do. So, yeah, let's get our assignment right, church, because I think the community is waiting on us to make a difference. And guess what? We are called to do just that. No matter how people show up, we come to help them, believing in who we are in Christ, but also knowing what we are called to do in the world. Listen, it's almost my time is up, but guess what? Still got a little bit more, right? Keep it right here on the Culture Call, right here with L. Spencer Smith on Praise 93.3 FM. Keep it right here. Don't miss it.
This is the world premiere.
What an amazing show we have had this morning, right here on the Culture Call with yours truly, L. Spencer Smith. And I hope and pray that I made some friends. If I made a little bit of enemies, I get it, I understand. But I want to stretch the church. I want to stretch that place, those people that I love and I dedicated myself to my entire life. I want to make sure that we are better and that we understand what our assignment is in the community. To have this whole idea of engagement, that we are called to engage our community, engage the world. We are called to be the hands and the heart and the mouth and the feet of Christ as we serve the world. That's right. To serve the present age is our calling. I also believe that we need to be the prophetic voice. Absolutely. What does that mean? The prophetic voice. I think that we need to also, tell them the witness. Tell them the witness of Christ Jesus. Tell them that there is a better way. To lead them, to open up our mouths and declare the grace, the glory of God, the goodness of God. I think that in the world full of bad news, that we are the people that's been entrusted with the good news. Yeah, that's right. In a world full of bad leaders, we need to tell the world that there is a Lord that they can trust in and show forth his heart and his will. And then I think that we ought to be culturally relevant, that this is not our grandmama's church. And I understand you want that old time religion. I get it. But if that old time religion is not reaching anybody in this new time world, then maybe we need to update church a little bit. Maybe we need to come and zoom into the time in which we are and use that time to express the heart of God for 2023 and beyond. If you were born in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, listen, I get it. We had good old church. But now we've got to be culturally relevant. That doesn't mean that we got to be in here in skinny jeans and all that kind of stuff. If it ain't you, don't try it. Because what this culture doesn't need is a fake, or someone who's not authentic. But we can utilize what we do know and what we do have to serve the present culture and community. Let's get community activated, church. They need us so very badly. Absolutely. Listen, I pray that you've had a wonderful day and that you're already planning and have already in the midst of doing good in the community and in society. And as my grandmama and my mama would say at the end of every phone call, I love you a bushel, I love you a peck, and I love you a hug around the neck. Until tomorrow, right here from 10 to 12 p.m. Thank you all for hanging out with me. Thanks to Brother Jay that always passes it off like only he can. Y'all be good, stay out of trouble, and love one another. Have a nice, amazing day. Peace.